Namaste and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. Ladies and gentlemen, just about a month and a half ago, when the government had decided to expand the ambit of testing labs with specific focus towards narcotics, we had highlighted how India in the last 1.5 years had upped its crackdown and the haul had been a never before. At that time, when we spoke about this, there was an indication that what has been scratched is just the tip of the iceberg. But tonight, as we speak to you, we have unearthed or we have seized what is perhaps the mother lode. It is the mother of all confiscations which has happened, and the world over, something of this magnitude has never happened. It is 3,000 kilograms of contraband, 2 full containers with top grade heroin sandwiched between layers of talcum powder. It was a consignment that was deemed to be talcum powders, and they are so smart that they have smashed and stacked it between talcum powders so that they can pass off this heroin. But 3 tons, ladies and gentlemen, 3,000 kilograms of heroin. There are estimations that there is another container which is en route. It's found its way, its origin is from Afghanistan, Kandahar, all the way to Iran, and from Iran it then makes its way towards Hindustan. That's the whole route that it has actually taken. 3 tons of heroin from 2 containers. There's one more container. This is the catch that we are outlining for you here as we set this up. And to understand the magnitude, the destination was Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. It is worth $2.7 billion or 21,000 crores. 21,000 crores. To vaccinate the entire country, the budget set was 33,000 crores. This is 3 tons of heroin which is worth 21,000 crores. Just understand that. High quality heroin packaged and labeled as talc. Now, what's the route that was taken? Kandahar, Afghanistan to the Bandar Abbas port in Iran. So it's the long-winded route. Usually you would go from Kandahar all the way to Karachi and use the Karachi port. So the port of origin should not be Pakistan. So it's gone to Iran. And Iran to the Mundra port in Gujarat, because all the import-export to Afghanistan also usually happens via Iran. It's a long-winded route. Imported by these Messrs. Ashi Trading Company in Vijayawada. And the trading company is in the name or belongs to a couple. Vaishali and Sudhakar is their name. They are in police custody, but it is given to understand that some third party must have just paid them some money and taken off this licensing and used their company as a front. Searches are on currently in Ahmedabad, Delhi, Chennai, Gandhidham and also Mumbai, from where there have been some arrests also that have been made. Afghan nationals in Delhi NCR are also being questioned to unearth the network. Two among the people who have been nabbed in Mumbai, at the Mumbai port, are also indicated to be Afghan nationals. Direct threads that have been found to ISI and Pakistan. Heroin possible last resort to fund ISI Taliban terror activities. That's what the probe is also saying. The couple arrested in Chennai by the DRI, but investigations editor Manoj Gupta also indicating that the Vijayawada police has not made any arrest, and these people may also have no clue of what was happening. They may have been offered some money by somebody to use their enterprise and their license as a front. But in India, 3 tons of heroin was making its way. Had this catch not happened, this would have been spread into India. Not only corrupting our society, also inducing drugs into our society, weakening society from within, but using this money for perpetrating a proxy war and waging a war against the country itself. Hard proof of narco terror, this mega drugs haul, is a question that we ask. Let's go across to our guest this evening. Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal, former Army Commander, Northern Command, is with us. We also have Sushant Sareen, Senior ORF Fellow. But first, I'm going to start with the gentleman who's also a former NCB Chief, but he was there the last time around. We were talking about this threat and how there is an increased spread of opium in the Helmand province, 4-time growth between 2019 and 2021. And a lot of it is now being directed towards the Indian market. Mr. B.V. Kumar is with us. B.V. Kumarji, we spoke about it elaborately the last time around, and the trend that we've been seeing in the last year and a half. This haul is the mother lode. 3 tons of heroin. B.V. Kumarji, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, we spoke about this not so long ago, and you highlighted that this threat is only going to grow. At that time, only about 300 kilograms of heroin had been caught off the coast of Lakshadweep. It was at that time when we said that we had to be mindful of this and there will be heightened activity. And now this is a mother lode, 3 tons of heroin.
Yeah. Now, this is not the end of the story. I understand that just in June of this year, they have imported, the same group has imported 25 tons of heroin from the same source, and this was distributed throughout the country. They have a large network of distribution for the heroin that has been smuggled into the country, and further investigation is also showing that there's a well-laid network which is distributing the entire drugs that have been smuggled already, and probably this would have been the third or second consignment which came into the country. As you rightly pointed out, probably the couple in Vijayawada could only be a front. Earlier consignments which came were supposed to have been consigned to a Rajasthani truck brought, which number is also available now with the DRI, and that truck was bringing it to Bombay and then distributing to other places and other things. What is important for us to note is that after the heightened vigil at the Indo-Pakistan border, particularly the land border, with fencing as well as increased surveillance and other things, the smugglers of both Afghanistan and Pakistan have realized that the sea route is more vulnerable and easy for being smuggled into the country. Now the figures show that Indian consumption of heroin itself has increased to 6% of the world production, which is a frightening number, because certain border states like Punjab is very vulnerable, and of late even Bangalore, there is a lot of networks in Bangalore with not Afghan nationals, but more of African nationals distributing and involved in the network and other things. This is a frightening scenario that is coming and other things. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is this is the first seizure, I won't say from the same group, after the Taliban has taken over. So that makes it interesting, because the US and the UN both have frozen the accounts of Afghanistan, and they have no source of revenue right now. The internal revenue which is generated within Pakistan is not sufficient. The main source itself is the drug generated revenue, which is more than, it is estimated at $1.2 billion to $2.1 billion. So that is the main source of which for their survival and for running the government and other things. So this is what we have to keep in mind. And in this process, the ISA of Pakistan is actively assisting to help the Afghan Taliban to organize the smuggling of drugs into the country. So this is a well laid out plan, both in conjunction with ISA of Pakistan, to smuggle these drugs into the country, to increase from this 6% of total production of world into the country into a much higher percentage, thereby making India into a country of drug addicts. This is what was planned by Mr. Bhutto when he was alive. He said we will wage a war of thousand years by making India weak, by making it into drug addicts. Now this is being implemented. This is what we have to take care of.
True, but B.V. Kumarji, there is somebody who's shouldering this amount. If you are saying 25 tons has already made its way, that is again 25,000 kilograms of heroin in our country. This is just 3,000 tons. That 3,000 tons is worth 21,000 crore. So this has to be a very highly organized network, and somebody within our country believes that corrupting our society and turning our country into a nation of drug addicts is all right.
No, that is the danger which we have to.
Yes,
that
sir.
is the danger which we have to face. Yeah, that is the danger which we have to probably organize ourselves. And
please complete. Please complete. I can hear you. Please,
hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah. See, what we have to now do is we have a very thin presence of the customs officers along the Gujarat coast. And now we have to increase the customs formation along the coast, then also increase the presence of the Coast Guard, which is now present at the Jamnagar and Porbandar stations. Probably we have to increase the number of ships available to the Coast Guard and also the customs fleet, which usually operates in the coastal waters. They are not fit to be, they are speedboats all right, but they are not fit to operate in a rough sea and other things. The sea is calm, certainly it can operate, but if the sea suddenly becomes rough, the customs fleet cannot operate. Earlier what we used to do was retrofit the Arab dhows which were seized in from the smugglers, retrofit it and use it for anti-smuggling operations. They are quite stable on the high sea. But then to sort of this type of organized smuggling, we need modern ships, which at present the Coast Guard is having, and probably their number has to be increased, the Coast Guard strength has to be increased, so also the customs fleet. That is the immediate necessity that we have to do. And if we don't do that, we become vulnerable, and Gujarat coast, particularly the Kutch area, I've seen every inch of the border, starting from Kutch right up to the Maharashtra coast, I've seen every inch of the land, and I found the Kutch coast, hardly there's any presence of human beings. But when it comes to Maharashtra coast, there are a number of creeks.
Yes.
If anybody comes and lands there, probably nobody will be wise.
True. So, and this
that's
is
from my practical experience of visiting the entire coastal area, I'm telling.
true, and this is also going to put a stress on as far as the human resources that we have. But perhaps somewhere now we can put our drone mechanisms into good use in terms of patrolling these coastlines and trying to also use and aid, help the Coast Guard and the customs personnel. But the challenges are immense that we are looking at. Sushant Sareen, good evening, and Lieutenant General Jaswal. This is a double whammy for us. They are corrupting our society, weakening our society internally, General Jaswal, using the money from India to wage a war against India. This is a double-edged sword.
You see, in our security calculus, drug induction into the country is very high on our priority, and it can have a seismic effect in the whole country. Now, this is a statement of fact. They have, sent drugs over here. The why part is most important. Whilst Pakistan is involved in stabilizing, or I won't say stabilizing, or taking control of the Taliban in Afghanistan and run their writ over there, they want to keep India busy. The best way is J&K is one. Now they're opening a new page in Punjab. The outgoing CM had also made a mention, the kind of weapons and drugs through drones of which are being dropped. As also towards the south, if you see, the PFI is there, in Kerala area basically. So they want to keep the whole area occupied, the security forces occupied, and the fact is that they are trying to relaunch what was done in Punjab before the 84 operations. Now, the systematic way of doing this is you first send in drugs, you build in dependency on the population, and thereafter carry out psychological indoctrination to do the tasks that they want them to be doing. And terrorism is one part. So Punjab is hot as of now, the kind of drugs which are there. So this is the why part of it. Now Gujarat, yes, because we've got 7,500, approximately 1,000 kilometers for the coastal area. They can land anywhere. Gujarat is a good area, like Mr. BJ had said. There are a lot of creeks in Maharashtra and in Gujarat, where in Kutch especially, where boats can come in, deliver the stuff, and it can move out of Gujarat easily because the depth is only about 160 kilometers. So that was to be brought in, sent towards the south, because earlier also landings were there in Vijayawada and Chennai. Sent to Kerala, sent to Punjab, Haryana, and also to J&K. But the main focus, the why part of it is, they want activation in Punjab. And they have got footprints already over here. What I fear next is, the induction of counterfeit money. Pakistan had been doing it earlier also.
Right.
Once drugs and counterfeit money, they start getting inducted into the country, I think Pakistan, instrument of state policy of weakening India, that'll get a hype.
Yes, you know, the Kerala Chief Minister and the Kerala courts had also made a mention of increased drug use. And also we had Father Joseph talking about narco-terrorism prevalent in Kerala. So when you hint at Kerala and what is happening in Kerala, so there is Kashmir, where a lot of the Sushant Sareen, as I welcome you into and request you to share your thoughts, if you just draw the map, there is Kashmir where this was rampant, and even the latest band of this entire group, which they all seem to be heroin addicts. In Punjab, we know all that entire borderline, about 1500 kilometers. There is a problem in every village, every tehsil. There is drugs and heroin is a big problem. Kerala, now we have increasing concerns from multiple community voices and leaders who are saying this is a problem. Lakshadweep, there has been a huge bust which happened recently. Northeast, Manipur, there was a huge issue because of what Assam was trying to do, because that was supposed to be the inroad and it was coming in. A lot of contraband and drugs were coming in the Northeast. And if there was a crackdown or trying to block that, there is an issue. So all across our country, and now it's come all the way into the mainland. And if it is 25 tons already and 3 tons has been caught, I'm just bamboozled with the amount of drugs circulating in our system.
Yeah, but I think, Anand, you need to break this down. What is happening in Manipur and other parts is basically the Golden Triangle, which is operational. And what's happening out here is the Golden Crescent, which is operational. But secondly, I think this is like the mother of all seizures, right? It's like almost $3 billion worth of drugs. So what we have seen so far, at least insofar as Rajasthan, Punjab and Jammu is concerned, are very minor quantities comparatively. 10, 20, maybe 100 kilos. In some cases a little more. But this is like crazy. Okay, now the problem, however, is I don't deny that there is an ISI hand behind this. But look, some of these drug syndicates operate even though it might not be an ISI hand. Why I'm a little skeptical on this particular case is because the consignment has come from Iran. Unless we are saying that the ISI has made deep inroads in the Iranian establishment, which I find difficult to believe, or that the Iranians and the ISI has been working together to carry out this sinister design in India, I would imagine that this is probably a drug syndicate which has people in Iran on the payroll. Because just imagine the amounts of monies involved. And I'll come to that in a minute. The second thing is that this dope which we are talking about is being traced to Helmand, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
This is the main, drug producing area in Afghanistan. Now, many of the drug syndicates which operate inside Helmand have very close links with the Iranians, not so much with the Pakistanis. I'm sure there is some amount of drugs which flow into Pakistan and then on to India. Some flow up north into Central Asian republics and Russia and then into Europe. But a lot of that drugs are floating into Iran and from there into Europe or towards India, which is then used as a transshipment point. Now, whether this consignment was for transshipment from India or entirely for distribution inside India, we are not very sure of it right now. We just had the seizure right now, and I think further investigations will tell us. It is possible that some of this stuff would have been for domestic distribution, and some of it would have been, or a substantial part of it would have been for India being used as a transshipment point.
Yeah.
The other thing is that this has nothing to do with the breakdown of the banking system in Afghanistan. The cultivators or the people who are manufacturing the dope in Afghanistan get a fraction of what is the street price. Okay. Let me tell you, long years back during a visit to Pakistan, I met somebody who was involved in this trade. at least had investigated it. And he was telling me a story of going to one of these drug lords. I think his name was Ayub Afridi, who had once told him that, listen, if I offer you, say, ₹1 million, will you carry drugs for me from this Khyber agency to Karachi? This guy says no. He says, okay, fine. I offer you 5 million. He says, no, I won't do it. He says, 10 million. Will you do it? So this, then this drug lord says, okay, I'll give you 100 million rupees. Now this guy keeps quiet. He says, listen, kid, if I give you 100 million rupees, you will not carry a, you will drive an entire truck to Karachi for me.
Correct.
The way in which this price multiplies. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the banking system collapsing in Afghanistan. That money has already been given to the people whom it had to be given to. This is money that is going to go to other people. Okay, so I think we need to break this down to get to the bottom of this. I again, like I said, I don't deny that there could be some Pakistani involvement in this, but in this particular case, unless the Iranians are part of this nexus, I would be a little skeptical. I think we need to look at Iran and talk to the Iranians.
Yeah, we need to, but what they're saying is they used the port of Iran, but this consignment came from Kandahar. So from Kandahar they went to Iran. I've just pulled this up. B.V. Kumarji, I'm just showing what he mentioned, Sushant mentioned to our viewers. This is the Golden Crescent. So the Golden Crescent sees a lot of Pakistan, Afghanistan and the Helmand province being there. And this is the Golden Triangle, which has Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, all of these nations here. And India is sandwiched between the Golden Crescent and the Golden Triangle. And there is a lot of theory which says that the Chinese actually are trying to push a situation where the Golden Triangle and the Golden Crescent are merged. And they are able to somewhere control this, and this also gives the kind of money which is required the world over. The other two markets where a lot of the drugs happen, Colombia and of course you have Mexico, which is in North and South America. But in this region, for this entire region, the supply line is from the Golden Crescent and from the Golden Triangle. B.V. Kumarji, would you agree, disagree with Sushant Sareen, or would you say this is business and it's not narco-terrorism, or do you believe that these are somewhere linked?
Now, one thing I can certainly tell without any hesitation is the terrorist network and the smuggling of drugs are intrinsically linked. So there you cannot separate both, because to carry out terrorism, you need a lot of money, and the easiest way to generate that money is from drugs. That's one of the important things that we have to keep in mind. As far as what Mr. Prashant mentioned about Iran, Iran has a very strict drug law. Can I continue?
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. There's a very strict drug law in Iran, where anybody who is charged with drug trafficking or drugs or involvement in drugs is hanged to death. And the latest reports of United Nations Organization on Drug Trafficking and Crime shows that more than 3,200 law enforcement personnel were killed and more than 20,000 were maimed in the anti-narcotics operations in Iran. Iran is quite bent upon trying to stop the drug trafficking and other things. But then, as pointed out by Mr. Prashant, there is still very difficult to control certain areas even within Iran for producing narcotic drugs and other things. That's one part. As rightly pointed out, as far as the Golden Triangle is concerned, now it's not that dangerous to us as it was, as it is now with the Golden Crescent. We have what you call border trade between Burma and India, Myanmar and India, and a lot of people come in the morning and go back in the evening. So it's the border security force which controls, and so also the Assam Rifles. But in spite of that, there's a lot of leakage through these land borders. When a lot of men and women bring their wares to sell in India, and vice versa, the Indian citizens go across to the Myanmar border and then sell their wares. Then this is a porous border, and there's a lot of smuggling. Once I had the opportunity of surveying the entire northeast region, and I found out, unfortunately, the political establishment was also involved in certain states in the Northeast. And the children of the powers that be in the Northeast, they were also involved in drug trafficking. Fortunately, it's not that serious or that big in magnitude as in the Golden Crescent, which has now become the largest supply or source of smuggling of narcotics. The
Right.
other thing which you mentioned about Mexico, Mr. Anand,
Yeah.
is very important. There's one particular group in Mexico called Sinaloa,
Yeah.
which is a cartel based in Mexico, which is the main source of drug supply to the Americans. Now, Taliban could be a sort of a rival in terms of business with the Sinaloa, but the latest reports show that Sinaloa probably may align with Taliban as not as a competing but another source to probably support the operations of Sinaloa in the American continent and so also in Europe. I mean, these are the new developments that is taking place in the present geopolitical situation in Afghanistan. So we have to bear in mind all these new developments.
Very interesting that you say that the cartels are saying let's not compete, let's combine and let's collaborate. And the other aspect
Yes.
is, and I'd like to bring you and also General Jaswal, is the route that's been used. Now, what we are given to understand is that this route of moving from Kandahar to the Bandar Abbas port, it's a long distance, and then to bring it all the way towards Mundra in Gujarat. So this is being done rather than taking it to Karachi and showing port of origination at origin as Karachi, is because it's being done via an official channel. There is no it's not being smuggled. It's being brought in as talcum powder. It's an official consignment which is registered as talcum powder. And this is to try and show that there is no Pakistani involvement. Had it been port of Karachi, directly the needle of suspicion would have been on the Pakistanis. Now they are saying that this has been facilitated in such a way, and that's why dressed up as talcum powder, so that even the Iranians perhaps did not know that this is drugs. And there have been repeated consignments. Where would you stand on this? Sushant Sareen as a point of view, then I'll come back to you, General Jaswal and B.V. Kumarji. Yes, Sushant.
Look, number one, I think I simply do not deny for a minute that there is a complete nexus between terrorism and narcotics trafficking and intelligence agencies. Of course it is there. It can be otherwise. My only point of contention is, and Mr. Kumar is right when he says that, there have been hundreds of Iranian security officials who have died trying to fight the drug trafficking. But most of those encounters have taken place along the Pakistani border, not so much along the Afghan border. Again, please remember, within Taliban there are factions which are very close to the Iranians, including Taliban factions very closely linked to drug syndicates and very closely linked to the Iranians, and then those who are linked to the Pakistanis. So don't try and mix all of them together, while there is a lot of overlapping also. So when you talk about, listen Anand, if you're talking about 100, 200, 500 kilos, I can understand. That encounters are taking place and, somebody's managed to smuggle it all the way up to Bandar Abbas onto a ship and all of that. When you're talking about 2 container loads, how can this kind of smuggling happen? If you name it talcum powder, you name it sugar, you name it anything. How can such a huge consignment pass the muster unless there is connivance and complicity of authorities?
Correct.
I'm not saying that this is happening at an official level, but I'm saying it is happening by officials. It is not possible to smuggle such a huge quantity. It just does not happen.
No,
So
I agree. I agree with you, Sushantji. I'm just going to go back to B.V. Kumarji and Lieutenant General B.S. Jaswal. One aspect, B.V. Kumarji, is that compared to 300 kilos, 3,000 kilos is a lot, 3 tons is a lot. But compared to 25 tons, 3 tons looks less. So clearly, this is a far greater organized network.
Correct.
Is it either dumping drugs into India, or is there such a huge demand and there is so much money that is, or is this drug then, or these drug sales going to be used for nefarious activities in India itself? Because we've got a very hectic season coming up in 2022, the start of 2022, and these elections are going to be very critical for us as a country. So there are multiple ways to look at it. Is this an organized business which we've now stumbled upon? Or is this being done with a nefarious intent, which we need to be really, really alarmed about?
Yeah. 2 points I would like to mention in response to what Mr. Prashant just said. Here it's coming via Iran, basically to show that it is in transit, so Iranian customs authorities will not take that much of care when it is in transit. So the other thing is to camouflage that it has not originated in Pakistan, but it has come via Iran. It's purely to sort of, as pointed out by Mr. Prashant and yourself, that it's basically to camouflage that it's not coming from Pakistan, but from Iran. In Iran, it was purely in transit. That's the first point. The second point is it's definitely a highly organized network, and without that type of a network, this type of quantities cannot come into the country, because this involves a huge amount of finance, huge amount of logistics being organized in a very systematic way, and that too in a very in a very secretive, well thought out, planned network. That only can probably conceal the entire operations till it comes out through some leakage and through some intelligence agencies stumbling upon some hints and other things. Till then it becomes very difficult to even identify which organization is involved and other things. Very fortunately, we had 3 major seizures, one at the Sri Lankan coast, then in July we had a seizure off the coast of Gujarat from the ship named Henry, where 1,500 kilograms were seized, where an Indian captain was involved. And there again the ship came from Iran, and some of the crew members were also Iranians and Pakistanis. So I have a feeling that Iran is being used as a transit point basically to camouflage the origin of the drug. That is one part. Second part is definitely there's a huge organization involved and a huge amount of finance is involved, and the drug trafficking can only be stopped when we take anti-money laundering operations. Only when the money generated in drugs is seized and then forfeited, and the properties also amassed in generation of wealth from the source of drugs is forfeited, then only we will be able to stop the drug trafficking. By mere seizure of drugs, we will not be able to stop drug trafficking, because it's only some part of the smuggling of quantities which are seized by the intelligence agencies or law enforcement agencies. A lot of it escapes the net, and that gets generated in the form of funds, which needs to be forfeited by proper financial investigations.
True, I agree, General Zaswal. And the other challenge is, if it 3,000 tons or 3 tons is 21,000 crore, 24 tons, 25 tons is more than 150,000 crore. That's a huge amount of money. That's a huge amount of money. And if there are people involved and each of them gets even little bit of a drop, they are set for life. So they will decide, so can they afford to compromise for a few money, for their personal coffers, while compromising and putting the entire nation and its security and its future in jeopardy? These are youngsters. These are this generation and the next generation, which is now getting addicted to this kind of drugs in the system. 25,000 kilo heroin. When B.V. Kumarji said, I cannot get over that. 25 minutes ago he said this. It's still replaying in my head that this 3 ton is nothing. 25 tons has already come in a previous shipment.
You see, we should understand that the drug cartels, they're very smart. If you go back to Colombia and Pablo, the famous guy over there, and his cartel also operating thereafter from Mexico, they're too smart. They can also buy the security personnel. So Iran officially is against. But I won't be surprised that people, it's an obvious thing, because coming from the Durin line, which is the basic area of production, the crescent which is there is along the Durin line, both towards Pakistan and towards Afghanistan, coming to Iran, and the officials didn't get a hint on it. Well, that's impossible. That's very fair, what Mr. Kumar has said, and you've also said. Pakistan didn't want to send it from their area, they wanted to send it through Iran. Probably the customs officials, the cartels have got around them, and that's the reason they got this transit consignment through Iran. Iran probably is not involved in it, but the people there are involved. The second point was, which was made, that most of it could be for transit, quite possible. Most of it could be for domestic consumption. I would, in the matrix, place for terrorism, Because when you have to spread terrorism across the length and breadth of India, you require thousands of crores.
Yeah.
Because it's not only, it's just a landing point. And the spread is going to be starting from the east. This east where, the trading takes place every day is Pangsao Pass. That is the place where the trading takes place. That's a very minuscule area. And other areas which are there, it's difficult probably. So these are the areas they're exploring. This can be used for domestic consumption, but that is undermining the future of the brain of India, call. But the mainstay as of now, the purpose is definitely, as per my analysis or viewpoint, is that they want to bring in terrorism, they want to bring in fundamentalism, for which they require thousands of crores. And for that, this is being used to induce drugs in Punjab has become easy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they are dependent on it. So they want to, in case Punjab insurgency comes in, you can imagine what will happen.
No, and this farmer protests are an example that everybody is looking the other way. The amount of drugs that is flowing in. Yes, they may have the right. They have the right to protest. Where people may say it's political, they may agree with it, disagree with it. What drugs got to do, and a huge influx of drugs which is happening, and largely which is heroin and cocaine, which is doing the rounds. Now, this is a huge amount of consignment of heroin. Nobody is even talking cocaine right now. So that's another bane which is on our society, which would also come. But yeah, from the Golden Crescent, the biggest shipment that's been had, it's a mother load, and let's hope it sets the alarm bells ringing across the board in society, in our homes, and of course into our security system, that we cannot afford any sort of compromise, because this is going to hurt us. Maybe not immediately, but surely in the near future. General Jaswal, B.V. Kumarji, and also Sushant Sareen, thank you very, very much for joining us here this Tuesday evening. We're going to take a very short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, the suicide note, which further confuses. Does it convince you, or does it raise more questions and point towards a conspiracy? Stay with us.